Nancy Lieberman, former WNBA player and coach, joined the Kings in 2015 as an assistant coach. Joining us courtesy of the Continental Tire Coaches Corner. Hi, Nance. How are you today?
Hi, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing great. How many games did you play for the Washington Generals against the Globetrotters?
In 88, 89, I played 200 games. We were 0-200, and it was very debilitating for us. But it was a show, and if I could have stolen the ball and gone in for a layup, I was reminded the refs are paid by the Trotters.
Were you told not to do it? Like you had to know what each skit was?
We knew the skit. It's a show. The Trotters at that time got 66 potential points a game on show plays. So at the same time on the clock, every game, you knew it was a show play. If they made it, that was great. If they missed it, in between that, you played real basketball. And at that time, the Generals were younger and better than the Trotters.
Who was the best player you played against on the Globetrotters?
Oh, let's see. Twiggy Sanders was still pretty good. Osborne, he played with Michael Thompson at Minnesota.
Yeah.
There was not Geese, no. But these guys were getting a little long in the tooth. So none of them were really young. It was kind of some older guys, but not the heroes that we know of.
What is your official title with the Sacramento Kings?
Assistant coach.
Okay. And you've been there since 2015?
Yes, this is my second year with them.
What is the role that you play on a day-to-day basis?
So when George hired me and Vlade last year, what happened was you go in there, you're breaking down film, you're putting player personnel together. You kind of morph into who you get assigned with. It's just kind of a natural type of thing. What players, like hypothetically last year, Omri Caspi, Rondo, guys like that were the guys who were assigned to me. And it was my job, to make sure that they had all the film, the game plan. You were showing them the good things that they were doing. You walked through some of the bad things that they had to make corrections on. And, it's like even at Summer League when you're working with, your draft picks. This year at Summer League, we had Willie Cauley-Stein and we had Scal Labissiere. We had, Malachi Richardson and some Isaiah Cousins. So you're trying to develop guys, but the relationships are really important.
Do they listen to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think about this. Of the Fortune 500 companies, Dan, 24 of them are females. These guys, if you can help get them to the next level, that's all they care about. So many of these guys have been raised by their mothers, strong women, impactful women in their life. This movement we have that Adam Silver is so tremendously brilliant and forward-thinking about. When I was hired by the Mavs, Donnie Nelson, in 2010 to be the first head coach of the NBA D-League, I mean, Donnie was in there with 2 feet, and that gives you the power to know and the confidence to know your owner is behind you. We made the playoffs in our first year. We sent Antonio Daniels to the Sixers to Coach Collins because that's part of the deal. You have to get these guys to their next level. So I coached these guys for 50 games. I know what it's like, and they're very receptive. And people who think that this is not happening right now, you're living in another day. You have Michelle Roberts, leading the Players Association. Mm-hmm. I've been on the board of the NBA, RPA. This is my second term as being on their, executive board. I'm on the board of the Basketball Hall of Fame with Jerry Colangelo, the Board of Governors. They want our input. You were respecting me in the 80s when we first met.
Yeah. Well, I think basketball is the perfect sport here for this to happen. Not the NFL or Major League Baseball, but with basketball, I can show the resume of what you've done. And you played thousands of games. So it's not one of those you never played the game. You didn't play the NBA. It's still the same game that you're playing. And that's why I look at what Becky Hammon's doing at San Antonio, and what you're doing is, if you know how to play the game and you can lead people, being an assistant coach is different than being a head coach, because there's a lot more that goes into that. And that's where I say we got to be careful of saying, well, this person can be a head coach. You can be a great assistant and not be a great head coach. But I'm all for this opening the door to say a coach is a coach, just like an official, an NBA referee can be female. I think we'll move on past it quickly, and then I'm going to judge you on your merits of winning or losing, not that if you're female or not.
Well, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on what you're saying. When I got the job being the head coach here, and we made the playoffs in our first year, and the Legends have not made the playoffs since. I was invited to the White House and by President Obama, and I had TJ with me. And the first thing he said to me when we met, he goes, "Nancy, I know I'm black. It's normal to me. I just happen to be the president of the United States. You know, you're a white woman coaching men. It's normal for you to play or coach against them. It's not normal for the outside world." And he looked at me as he was holding my hand. He says, "It's our job to make it normal." Now, you brought up a great point. Not every man or woman
True.
is going to be in a leadership capacity where they can be the CEO or they can be the head coach. That's a unique skill set. And you have to be an amazing communicator, among other things. Becky Hammon is a really brilliant coach. She's got great communicative skills. She's so highly respected because, I mean, think about it. She was in that building for 8 years before Coach Popovich gave her that opportunity. I've been around, when I'm around the league and players are coming up to me in pregame and they're like, "Hey, I'd like you to meet my family, or can you meet my girlfriend or my mom?" Or you're going into practice and they're like, "Hey, Hall of Famer or legend." I kept telling Karan Butler, don't do that, because the guys next to me, we're all just assistant coaches, and I cannot take away who I am. You hired me and you knew who I was, but I have to also fit in with my brothers. And when you have great advocates like Vlade Divac and Vivek and Rick Carlisle, the president of the NBA Coaches Association, you have amazing advocates that are confident enough to know that the future is right here with some people, including women.
Do you think that Popovich is going to set the stage for Becky Hammon to take over for him?
I do. They have an amazing relationship. This is just my opinion. But I think that Becky is being tutored for success, and she does have a very unique set of circumstances, even greater than mine. And, the same thing with Natalie. She's with the Clippers. She's worked really hard to gain the trust and the belief of Doc Rivers. Our situation in Sacramento is a little bit, more fluid because different coaches. It could be a little bit more difficult for me, but that's okay. We just need one. And, I remember when Becky got the job a couple years ago, and she called me and she was like, "Man, I'm sorry." And I was like, "Shut up. Don't be sorry." She was showing me respect as our friends and as someone, who, as she said, had been, a trailblazer. We're not in a competition. We just have to, if Jackie Robinson becomes the first, we have failed if nobody else comes after. I'm okay being Larry Doby. I'm okay with being the second, but we need more. And they're out there, and these women are coming. They're bright. They're building relationships, and they're pouring into the game to learn so they can coach at the highest levels.
Can you see this, though, with women working on the college level with men's basketball? We've had this conversation about Pat Summitt, the late Pat Summitt. I said she could have coached anybody. It didn't matter. Tennessee men's basketball would have benefited from him. But why haven't we seen that with men's college basketball?
I can't answer the question, but I do think there are some people out there that are a little nervous about it and, might be apprehensive. And really, I don't know why. We're not trying to steal jobs. We're not trying to leapfrog people. We're just saying that if we're qualified, if we've paid our dues, we would like to have the same professional opportunities on the collegiate level. I mean, I could coach men's college basketball. I could be a head coach there. I could be a head coach, one day given the opportunity, in the NBA. But it's going to be about somebody actually like Coach Popovich, who I just so admire him and R.C. Buford because of how they see things.
Yep.
And they're so secure with themselves. I mean, you see it. You've been around these guys forever.
Yeah, I see it happening.
You can't look at somebody like me or Becky and go, "Oh wow, they drive nice cars," or they have. Well, you know what? We're different. We excelled in our world, and we're successful. But it doesn't mean we can't be grinders and lead. And we have to know the power we don't know we have, and we have the power to evoke change and to be that agents of change as a culture. And I mean, I remember before, my baby died, Muhammad Ali, and he's been my lifelong friend, but Muhammad and Lonnie, which I'd sit in their house in Phoenix, and they said, "Nancy, you're going to coach in the NBA. You're going to coach in the NBA." And I was like, well, I hope. And when it happened, it was almost like a premonition. I mean, he kept saying that to me for years, it's going to happen. And it did. And that's where the work starts. We can't just pat ourselves on the back and say we're in the NBA. We have to really work hard. We can't be just as good. We have to be better than.
Yeah, and you can't be satisfied with just being an assistant coach. If we played to 11 right now, who wins?
Me and you?
Yeah.
Oh, me. Come on. I'm still sneaky and angry. I'm an angry white woman. Me.
I score off of you, though.
Remember when we played?
Yeah.
Oh, remember way back in the day when you stayed at the house and
in Dallas.
We played?
Yeah.
I have to say this, you were so much better, stronger than I could have imagined. Not a lot of people impressed me with, guys will say all the time, I played or did this, but you actually could play this game and you were a lot bigger and stronger than I thought. But I would actually sub myself out and let you play against TJ.
Against your son? Well, I'm not going to do well against your son. He just played, he just graduated from college. Come on.
I know. He had 33 the other night against TCU. Hey, by the way, let me be a mom for a split second.
Okay.
He just was named to the AP All-American team yesterday.
Takes after
Can
his
you believe
dad.
that?
Yep, takes after his dad.
Oh, I'm going to have to hop off this call now.
Hey, Nance, always great to catch up with you.
You're the best. Thank you for everything.
All right. Thank you. Nancy Lieberman.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.